Bro, come on. That is diabolical. 10 years. You kept up this lie. The hobosexuals are running rampant. This is a public service announcement. Breaking news, breaking news. Hello, little enzymes. Welcome back to Dacia's Digest. Today we are covering lies and secrets. Everything is included in the description. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Oh, also, if my face looks a little red or irritated, I just got microneedling like a couple of hours ago. So might look a little red, but I'm fine. It's okay. Am I overreacting because my boyfriend is still secretly talking to his exes? I, 24 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 27 male, for almost a year. Things were great at first, but over the last few months, I've noticed small things like him hiding his phone screen when I walk by or even turning off notifications. Recently, I found out he's still talking to one of his exes. Not just casual, hey, hope you're doing well messages, but late night conversations, jokes, and even calling him by the pet name they used to use. Ooh. This girl even sent a flirty selfie. When I confronted him, he said I was blowing things out of proportion and that they are, quote, just friends. But if that's true, why hide it and delete messages? I don't want to be controlling, but I feel disrespected. He says I'm being insecure and paranoid, but my gut says otherwise. Am I overreacting for feeling betrayed and thinking about ending things over this? Not overreacting, girl. I mean, at the very least, he's emotionally cheating, but just the hiding and the sneakiness, and then you're texting your ex? Like late night messages, she's sending you pictures, y'all joking, pet names. That's going too far. Personally, not opposed to still being in contact with exes. It just depends, because I only have like 3 main exes, but like 2 of them I'm pretty cordial with. Like I could probably just call them up to ask how they're doing or whatever, maybe go get some coffee, whatever, maybe hang out, but it's not gonna be like, we don't text every day. We not finna be sitting on the phone late at night. It ain't nothing like that. It's more so like as a friend, just checking on you, seeing how your well-being is. This is just doing too much. So we'll just go to the update, which was like 5 days later. Hey again, everyone. I wasn't planning to update this, but after reading all your responses and sitting with my thoughts for a few days, a lot has happened. First of all, thank you to everyone who commented, even the brutally honest ones. I needed that wake-up call more than I realized. I spent so long trying to rationalize his behavior, convincing myself I was being too sensitive, that I forgot what it actually feels like to be respected and emotionally safe in a relationship. So, after my original post, I decided to sit down and have a real conversation with him, not a confrontation, but a calm, direct talk. I asked him straight up, why are you still entertaining flirty conversations with your ex if you say you love me? Why the secrecy? And of course, he gave me the usual gaslight parade. You're blowing this out of proportion. She's just a friend. You're overthinking again. But this time I didn't fold. I didn't get defensive or cry. I just looked at him and said, you clearly care more about keeping this connection alive with your ex than being honest with me. I'm done. And y'all, he had nothing to say after that, just silence. I packed my essentials that night and stayed at a friend's place. I didn't block him, but I muted everything. No more back and forth, no drama, just silence and peace. I'm not gonna lie, it still hurts. Almost a year of my life, and I feel like I never really knew who he was. But weirdly, I feel more powerful now than I have in months, like I finally chose me. If anyone else reading this is in that same confused, gut-screaming space, listen to it. People who love you won't leave you guessing. Thanks again to everyone who helped me see what I was refusing to admit to myself. She's right. People who love you ain't gonna leave you guessing. If they wanted to, they would. And if they don't want to, they won't. It's really that simple. The next story. I have been lying to my husband about my religion our entire relationship. Yo. I, female 25, and my husband, male 25, have been dating since we were in high school. Both my parents had been raised Orthodox Christians, and they did get married in a church, but it was mainly so my grandparents didn't disown them. They did get me baptized, and we occasionally attended church when my grandparents visited, but I do identify as an atheist. That is a jump from Christian to atheist, and you've been telling your man you Christian. You don't even believe in nothing at all. That's a jump. That's a stark contrast. She said the high school friend group we were both in, while not at a religious school, did have a lot of Christian affiliated people in it. And as someone who had always been embarrassed whenever church came up, it allowed me to talk openly about my few experiences with it. However, as all teenagers do, I lied and heavily played up how religious I was to fit in. This was partly because my husband, the guy I liked at the time, was Christian. And while we had dated people who weren't, I thought it would give me a shoe in to a relationship. Damn. I mean, it did, but dang, that's a pretty big lie. That's a pretty big lie. She said I would act as though I believe in God 100%, which I do not. Bro, come on, that is diabolical. She said we started dating at 15 and we would bond over God. Because it's one thing to lie just for the sake of like ease of conversation so that you don't get bothered or you don't get questioned or you don't have to go down the same conversations that happen if and when a person starts talking about religion. But y'all, now come on, you don't believe in God at all. And you're going to church with this man, bonding over God. That is like another level of deception there. She said he would invite me to his church. I always felt a bit guilty, but assumed the relationship wouldn't go anywhere. I sometimes felt doubt and wanted to call it off, but from a couple of weeks into the relationship, he would talk about dating to marry and love over lust, which, as a teenage girl, felt like something straight from a storybook and made me feel special. As our relationship developed, I just kept hoping that if I went to church enough with him, I would begin believing and I would never need to tell him I lied in the beginning. He proposed to me at the end of 2022 and we got married in a cathedral last year. While I know I should have told him, it was too perfect to destroy it and I was scared. I had spent almost a decade with him and leaving didn't feel like an option. 10 years. You kept up this lie. You're going to church. You probably going to Sunday school. You probably doing devotionals, reading the Bible, praying. That is the crux of your relationship. That is one of the main things that y'all have in common, and you don't even believe it. Yo, that is diabolical. I've never heard something like this. And then you get all the way up into the engagement, all the way up into being married based on a lie. At this point, just keep it up. Shoot. Nah, that would be messed up. It reminds me of like when people lie about their sexuality just so that they can have the person or that they can have kids with the person. It's not fair because that's not like really who you are, and that other person could find someone that's actually suitable for them versus living with a lie. Oh, she said, I don't know what to do. I feel as though I'm living a lie. You are. She said he doesn't believe in divorce, so even if I was to tell him, I don't know what would happen. Man, oh man. Someone said you manipulated him, and the reality is you can't live like this forever. It's clearly weighing on you, and that's not fair to you or to him to continue without him knowing. Relationships are built on trust, and while this is a huge thing to confess, continuing to hide it will only make it worse. Right, and I don't know if they have any children yet, but If they don't, right now would be the perfect time for her to say something before that happens. Someone said this is a classic case of getting too deep into the lie. You lie about something, people believe it. You're worried about what will happen when you reveal you lied. But the more time passes, the worse it'll be when you reveal the deception, so it just gets harder and harder to reveal. Putting aside the fact that you lied to this man in order to forge a relationship, which is pretty messed up, to be honest, do you think you can sustain this lie for the rest of your life and live with the guilt of deceiving a man you claim to love? From my perspective, seems like there are four options. One, take the secret to the grave, potentially very difficult, could blow up in your face if you ever break. Husband lives with a wife he doesn't even really know, but ignorance is bliss. 2, break off the relationship without revealing the lie. It relieves the guilt but saves face. You don't have to live a lie anymore, but husband will likely be very hurt. 3, reveal the deception. It will likely cause severe trust issues in husband. Possible it will end the relationship and tarnish your reputation, but best case scenario, with a lot of therapy, it could create a genuine, honest relationship. And 4, pretend to deconstruct or deconvert and lose your faith. That the only option is honesty here. Like, why you let me continue. They say you do not reveal the full extent of your deception, allowing you to save face, and will potentially lead to a more real relationship. It might not alleviate guilt completely. Depending on the depth of his faith, it could break the relationship anyway, and will almost certainly be a challenging time for him. Less likely to make him hate you, though. The only option here is honesty. Look, man, I got caught up. And yeah, he probably will have severe trust issues. I mean, he shouldn't trust her. That is really crazy. That is really crazy. Update 2 months later. I told him I couldn't take the weight of it anymore, and I confessed everything. How I lied at the start, how I don't believe in God, how I tried to force myself to for him. He didn't yell, he just sat quietly. Just to clarify from the last post, he isn't Orthodox, he is Protestant. But when we were in high school, whenever we would talk about religion, I would say I agreed more with Protestantism than the religion I supposedly was. When we got married, it was in a church, and he fully believes I converted with little doubt in my new faith. After I told him everything, he left. He went to his parents' house, and I didn't see him all weekend. He didn't call, text, or anything. On Tuesday, he returned home, and he sat me down to talk. He is understandably heartbroken, not because I'm not Protestant, but because I lied. He isn't sure if it's the real me he loves, and his trust is broken. I asked him how he wants to move forward, but he hasn't decided. He has always dreamed of a family with me and doesn't want to lose that, but that dream has already been destroyed by my confession. I've suggested going to relationship counseling, but he says he isn't ready and is scared they will try to save the relationship rather than giving truthful advice from his past experience with family therapists growing up. I really hope he wants to stay and forgive me for what I've done. I've explained that if we have children, I am happy to raise them under Christian beliefs and even continue attending church with him, though I am nervous this would build more resentment. I love him so much and would do anything to help him want to stay. Somebody said, OP, it's out of your hands at the moment. You must now sit and wait for his decision going forward. Facts. And what a decision that has to be. Somebody said, you lied about a fundamental part of who you are and what you believe for your whole relationship. Of course, the trust has been obliterated. Anything you say to him now will sound hollow. Someone else said, I was raised Protestant, congregational, went to Sunday school every week, was christened and joined the church. My mother was a member of the all-women's church groups and a deacon for years. I don't go to church though, and I had my children christened there. Imagine my surprise when my mother told me she never believed the teachings of the church, but she enjoyed the sense of community that was so important to it. helping people, supporting what they did for others. If you and your husband stay together, look at the church as my mother did. It was her way of serving the community. That is wild to me. You're sitting here teaching things that you don't even believe. There's other ways to have community and, socialize with people than joining a church. Like, it just doesn't make sense. That was on May 25th. No other updates. Let's go to the next one. Broke up with my girlfriend over tattoos. She no longer, quote, agrees with our breakup. I want to preface this with a disclaimer that there is nothing wrong with having tattoos if you want and like them. They aren't my thing. Please don't take this as a condemnation of tattoos or the people that get them as a whole. My ex and I were together for about a year. Early on in the relationship, she had mentioned wanting to get some tattoos. I told her she had every right to do so since it's her body, but I find tattoos very unattractive, and I would likely break up if she went through with it. It became a small fight, and she was cold and passive-aggressive about it for a few days, but eventually she said she understood and would not be getting the tattoos done. Dang, he's strict. That's real strict. Well, he got his preference, I suppose. He said, fast forward to about 2 months ago, and she makes another attempt to get me on board with tattoos. I reiterate my stance and tell her again she can do it, but I won't stick around if she does. I went out of town to visit my cousin for a week and came home to her with a partial sleeve done. A partial sleeve? That's a large tattoo. Okay. You go from no tattoos and your man saying, look, if you get a tattoo, that's it, to a partial sleeve? He said her arm was basically one big scab. I ask her what's going on, and she just nonchalantly says her and her best friend had talked and agreed I was being unreasonable, so she went ahead and used my time out of town to get it done, so I wouldn't be around to be a buzzkill about it. She said she got as much as the guy was willing to do in one sitting, inked, and once she was healed, she planned to get it extended. These people, they just go from one extreme to another. You know your man don't like tattoos, and you plan out a full sleeve? I could understand if maybe she tried to compromise with him and was like, okay, well, what if I get like a little dainty one? I mean, I don't know if I could be compromised with somebody on that, because it's her body at the end of the day. If she wants to get a tattoo, she can get a tattoo. She just has to know one of the potential consequences is he might not stay with her, because if he don't want to be with nobody with tattoos, he don't have to be with nobody with tattoos. She took that risk, but if she wanted to, maybe try to compromise, say, okay, what if I get a little small one that you could barely see? That probably wouldn't do it for her though. She got a whole sleeve. He said, the tattoo was already a deal breaker for me, but the blatant disrespect and casual way she was implying my opinion didn't matter broke my feelings for her right there. We fought, and eventually she just told me to get the heck out and locked herself in the bathroom. Thank goodness she did this when she did, because I was close to not renewing my lease at my apartment and moving in with her. I packed my stuff up and left while she crap talked me to her best friend on the phone. That is disrespectful. He said, dropped her stuff off from my place the next day. She told me I was making a huge mistake and throwing a good thing away for petty reasons. I just handed her the bag and left. That was weeks ago. Didn't hear from her until today. She called me. Here's a very brief summary of the call. Her: okay, the petty drama has run its course. You can move back in and move on, okay? Me: no, we are broken up. It's over permanently. I don't want to get back together. He is strict, bro. I mean, a sleeve is crazy. A sleeve is crazy. A sleeve is crazy. But supposedly you love this girl. Y'all been together for a minute. I just feel like if it were me, like if my man went and I didn't like that, but I don't mind tattoos, so I have to think of something that maybe that I wouldn't like. I don't know if I would leave. I feel like I'll try to compromise or something. I don't know. He said the rest of the conversation between them two, we aren't getting back together. This was just a spat that got out of hand. You freaked out and left in a huff. I know you're just too proud to admit you're wrong, so we'll just call it even and you can come back. Me, no, I told you repeatedly that tattoos are a deal breaker. You did it anyway and then disrespected me on top of that with the way you went about it. We're done. You can move on now. Find a guy that finds your new ink attractive because I find it repulsive and wouldn't be able to look at you or that arm again. He said conversation goes in circles for a bit before I hang up. Then she tries sending me some scantily clad photos in an attempt to seduce me, but her body does nothing for me now and her sleeve her sleeve was visible. Bro, which even after it healed was gross and unflattering. I told her I deleted them and to leave me alone, blocked. She then messaged me on Snap saying she never agreed to a breakup and I owed her a conversation face to face if I wanted to end things. Blocked again. I know it's bad form to be a guy calling his ex crazy, but this girl is nuts. Edit, I find all the talk about me being shallow pretty funny considering she told me that if I ever gained weight or stopped going to the gym, she would leave me. Heck, she put on weight throughout our entire relationship and it never once made me consider leaving her. I still found her beautiful. When she changed her hair color to colors that I didn't like, I never said a bad word to her about it. I was supportive. I didn't like it, but it wasn't a deal breaker. One last edit. This was great. Sub really is great for getting things off your chest. Had a lot of fun reading responses, and while I didn't need validation to know what I did was right, I still appreciate the supportive folks. The negative ones accusing me of being shallow, controlling, weird, and all sorts of other things because I have a preference were fun too. Didn't change my mind one bit, but I'm glad you guys were able to get those things off your chests as well. Someone said a breakup is not a debate and it doesn't need consensus agreement. No, for real, because her saying I didn't agree to the breakup, you don't have to, ma'am. Another comment, she doesn't understand consent. A relationship or intimacy can take place if both parties agree. If either party does not, it then cannot. Someone else, you two were just incompatible. Nothing wrong with breaking up over it. On to the next adventure. OP responded, could you please let her know she's supposed to be on a new adventure? She seems to think we're still on the old one. Someone said, be prepared for the crazy to really start now. If you have any shared friends still, make sure it's clear that you have ended the relationship. It has been over since she got the tattoo. Any further attempt for her to contact you is harassment and or stalking behavior will be reported to the police. Feel free to unblock her and let her be left on red to gather any further evidence of harassment or stalking behaviors. OP responded, I hope she doesn't escalate, but my friends know we're broken up. A few of her friends know as well. Her best friend seems to share her opinion that we're still together though. If she shows up to bother me, there are cameras all over the place. Someone else, she will blame you as well, and many will side with her. Be ready to say, well, if you've already made your decision that I'm at fault without talking to me, then I want nothing to do with such a low quality friend of such poor character. I thought we were friends and I deserved my side. I guess you just suck as a friend. OP responded, strangely enough, even her friends who have reached out to me said they don't blame me. The only person who is on her side is her best friend. Even my friends with tattoos fully support my decision and don't think I've been shallow or controlling as the commenters here seem to think. I mean, I wouldn't say it's shallow, or I guess it depends on his reasoning. I mean, he just don't like it. I don't know if I would say that's shallow. It's an optional body modification. So it would be different if it was something else. Maybe I would, think that, but you don't have to have a tattoo. It's not something that happens upon you. As someone who has, how many tattoos I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6. I have 6 tattoos. I like tattoos, but I mean, he don't. That's it. Update 6 days later. I came here a week ago to vent about a strange situation with my ex getting a tattoo and it resulting in us breaking up. Weeks later, she acted like our breakup was just a spat and that I was being unreasonable. I told her we were broken up permanently and blocked her. She then tried to message me on other platforms demanding a face-to-face meeting because she never agreed to the breakup. In the end, the tattoo was a secondary cause of our breakup. In my mind, she disregarded what we'd spoken and agreed about early on in the relationship. When I didn't give her the supportive response she wanted, she proceeded to belittle me and insult me, then kick me out of her home, which we were close to having me move into full time. Then she locked herself in the bathroom and loudly insulted me while on the phone with her best friend, whom had been the one to convince her to get the tattoo while I was out of town. At that point, we were done. I took my stuff back to my place and brought her stuff from mine back to hers. She showed up at my place last night with a bag full of my bathroom stuff from her place, just a bottle of body wash and a few other things. She asked to come in and talk, but I stepped outside and we talked out front where the cameras could see. That's smart. She asked if I was really breaking up with her over a tattoo, and I reiterated that it was about more than the tattoo at this point, and that I wasn't breaking up with her. I already broke up with her weeks ago. She tried to argue with me that our relationship was stronger than that, but I told her that it wasn't. That while I was comfortable with her, this whole incident made me realize I wasn't happy with her. Her treating me poorly was the wake-up call we both needed to go our separate ways and find people we could truly be happy with. She kept trying to argue that this was crazy and I was throwing a good thing away. I told her that I wish she'd just gotten the tattoo when we started dating. We could have broken up and just been friends. Oh, he is not budging on this issue. He continues, she said she'd considered it, but decided she'd rather be with me than get the tattoo, so she lied to me when she said she was okay not getting one. Then, when I went on my trip, her best friend convinced her to get it and claimed I'd get over it and stick around. The guy that did the first part of her sleeve was an old friends with benefits of her friend and agreed to do it for a discount. Conversation sort of went in circles for a bit before she tossed the bag at me and left crying, yelling, "Fine, we're freaking over then." So that's it. She showed up at my place like a lot of people predicted, but no stabby stabs or anything. Friends told me she made a bunch of vague posts about heartbreak on social media, but I haven't seen any of it. Regardless of how things went down, I hope she heals and finds herself someone who can be more supportive of her choices than I was. Thanks to those people who offered me support for my decision, and to everyone calling me shallow, controlling, and weird for my stance on tattoos, I gotta say, I had a blast reading those comments. Absolutely hilarious. So somebody said, I really want to know how their friendship is going, referring to the friend who convinced her to get a tattoo. OP said, I wish I had an answer for you, but I don't really know. Another person, make some calls. This random stranger on the internet wants to know, LOL. OP responded, I have a friend who has been in full-blown Snoop mode the last few weeks after the drama. If there's anything to find, she will tell me. She's loving this nonsense. Someone responded, she sounds awesome. Does she have tattoos? I'm getting friend to lover vibes. But please update us. I want to know if they're still friends. Any chance her friend is secretly in love with her? Maybe I've just read too many romance stories. OP responded, she's happily married and we've always just been good friends. She introduced me to a friend of hers the other day, though, and she and I have been texting a lot, so there's that. I never got a vibe from her friend that she was ever interested in my ex like that, but if that's the case and they end up together, good for them, honestly. Dang, her friend just tricked her out her spot. I hate to see it. I hate to see it. Why would you allow someone who's not in your relationship to make decisions about your relationship? Like, That was really dumb. Your man told you if you get the tattoo, it's over. And you did it anyway. You thought he was joking. You tried to call his bluff. Now look at you. So just to make this video a bit longer, I'm gonna read one that, like a random wildcard one that I see here on the Am I the A-hole Reddit. It says, am I the a-hole for silently changing my son's name after my brother and sister-in-law gave my nephew the name too? That's petty. It says, my wife and I had our son 4 months ago. We had a name chosen early in her pregnancy. We kept that name to ourselves, but my sister-in-law, married to my brother, found it out when she was still pregnant with my nephew, almost 7 months old. She never said how, she just told us she loved the name, congrats, and she couldn't wait to meet him. We assume she snooped because she was not told. I even mentioned it to my brother, and he said that his wife does like to browse through people's things like it was no big deal. Then, when my nephew was born, they announced his name, and it was the name we chose. First, middle, and last name. My brother called right after sister-in-law posted the announcement, and he told me to keep quiet because his wife had a rough birth and she didn't need drama, and he knew we might not like it, but she really wanted the name. Brother gotta stand up. This lady is unstable, and he's letting her do it for the sake of not, ruffling feathers or causing drama. Your wife is crazy, bro. And you need to handle that before she does something else extreme. You stole an entire name, and because you're in-laws, even the last name is the same. But first, you snooped so hard that you found the name. How? Were you going through their trash? Did you hack that? Like, they didn't tell anyone and you still found the name. That's what I would be worried. That's what I would be focused on, low key. How did you find out the name? But then to have the audacity to name your newborn child that exact same name, you're not right in the head. They need to call the lady on her. So OP continues, her reason, my brother and I have matching twin-like names, and sister-in-law wanted to connect our two boys by just giving them the same name so they were each other's namesake. My wife and I talked it over and we decided to pick a different name. But we'd pretend to keep the original name until there was zero risk of sister-in-law changing my nephew's name. 6 months after a birth is harder to make a name change in our state. We only started telling people the true name last week. My parents and sisters said it made sense. Friends and my in-laws understood why we did it. My brother told me I upset his wife by silently doing this crap and taking away her choice to match the boys. What? Taking away her choice? This man is in too deep. She took away their choice to have a unique name for their son. I have no words. I have no words for that statement. OP says he told me it was a-hole move. I told him his wife using the full name we chose was an a-hole move. I asked him if he considered how much tougher it would be with boys enrolled in the same schools with the very same name. Not to mention banking, doctors, dental, all kinds of stuff. He told me plenty of people have the same name and it's not a big deal and it's harder to mix stuff up now and we're just trying to gatekeep names. Gatekeep names? What? You already named your kid. Get over it. Opie said, I think he's crazy. So does my wife. She said he clearly doesn't want sister-in-laws to be mad, but am I the a-hole for what I did? Like, are we weird for thinking of this kind of stuff? Not the a-hole. And these people, child, that's... Somebody said, but you didn't gatekeep. You didn't tell them they had to change the name they stole from you. You were quite kind and didn't make a fuss over it. They are mentally deficient. Congratulations on your new baby. Someone said, my husband works in the financial industry. Same names, same town, same everything. It's a disaster. The brother is an idiot if he doesn't think it's a problem. A friend of mine is a junior. His dad's bankruptcies and stuff show up when you Google him. Sure, for a job, you'd look harder, but imagine one of them commits a crime. Most women I know do a Google search before going on a date, and now you have to try to argue, oh no, that was my cousin. Yeah, he definitely has the same name as me. No, for real. That was a crazy choice. A crazy choice. Let me do one more from here. Ooh, okay. What's this one? Ooh, okay. This one sounds interesting. Am I the a-hole for wanting to leave my husband? I, female 25, and my husband, male 27, have been together for 9.5 years. Since COVID, he has not had a job or stable income, and I have been supporting us for the past 3 years. We lost our apartment back in 2021 and have been staying at family houses, including our 2 kids and a dog. Now look, we just talked about this in a previous video. The hobosexuals are running rampant. This is a public service announcement. Breaking news, breaking news. There might be a hobosexual outbreak near you. Beware. Look, I know this is a hard time in the economy right now. A lot of people have fallen on hard times. But 3 years? 3 years is a long time not to have a goddamn job. You can find something in 3 years, and don't tell me you can't. There are plenty of ways to make money. Don't tell me otherwise. Especially when you have a wife and 2 kids to support, and you got her supporting y'all solely for the past 3 years. Not to mention living at other people's houses because you got evicted. Honestly, she would be doing better by herself. There's more to read, but no, not the a-hole. She said, I have to force him to get up in the morning before work to either help get the kids ready for school and daycare, and sometimes he doesn't get our kid on the bus in time, so he misses school. That's crazy. She said if he isn't up, he sleeps until 10 or 11 with no care in the world. He doesn't work, so you would think he would help with household duties, staying at mother-in-law's house. No, not really. I have to ask him multiple times a day to see if he had done anything that I have asked him to do, and I get yelled at for even bringing it up again. I work a full 8 to 4 Monday through Friday job while he lounges around and hangs out with his friends. I am up every morning at 5:30 to get the kids ready while he sleeps until 8 a.m., at which point he puts our son on the bus and goes back to bed. He hasn't showed any real care for the future of our family. He would rather go hang out with his friends until 4 a.m. and sleep all day than take care of the house or play with our kids. He talks down to me. Child, that was the final straw. Cause you ain't even paying no mother freaking bills in this house. You don't work, you sleep all day. You can't even do the basic household chores. You can't even get our son to school on time. And then you have the audacity, the nerve to talk down to me? It couldn't be me. The way I would have his feelings hurt, it couldn't be me. And I'm not even the type of person to do stuff like that, to just be mean or, talk to people crazy. But in this situation, you're talking down to me? That's crazy. She said he talks down to me and makes jokes that he states are funny and I need to lighten up when really he just wants to push me down. I can't be myself around him or he'll tell me I'm weird or call me an embarrassment. He sold his main car for transportation for a car that we cannot register. We have another car to register, but he has no money. When he has money, he gambles it away on online gambling apps. Due to me being the breadwinner of the family and having to pay $1,400 a month for daycare plus car and phone payments that need to be made, I cannot save money to get an apartment for me and the kids. Oh my goodness. He took our social security cards away, so I cannot use them to get housing assistance or anything of the sort. This is crazy. She said, I am stuck and don't know what to do. I love him, but I am not in love with him anymore. It hurts to say, but I would be so much happier as a single mom than to feel like a single mom. Am I the a-hole for wanting to leave? Edit, I cannot get a new card without having to go to the Social Security office myself, and we use Find My iPhone. He has my location and would question why I am there. Also, he does not have access to my money, but he will ask for money here and there. This is what you do. You do the old school way, print out the instructions to the Social Security office, print them out, leave your phone at work. Take a PTO day if you have it. I mean, if you work a full-time 8 to 4, you have some type of leave, or you can tell them that you have a family emergency or something. Go to work, get dressed, go to work, already have your Social Security appointment made, go to work, leave the phone there. If you really want to, you could see if you can borrow, because I hate going places without a phone, because I feel like in the case of an emergency, like I just won't be able to contact anyone. But if that bothers you or if that worries you, borrow someone else's phone just for that time. Go to the Social Security office. Something gotta shake. If you're worried about him not seeing the car at the place, see how much an Uber costs. See if you can get a ride. We gotta make something shake. And I hope you see this too, because that would honestly be a stellar plan if you're worried about the Find My iPhone. Then, if they mail the Social Security cards instead of actually giving them to you right there, put someone else's address. Put a trusted person's address where the cards can go, so you don't even risk him intercepting them in some kind of way. You got to get out of there. Somebody said, dude, why are the kids in daycare if he doesn't work? Someone said, exactly. Why are you spending $1,400 a month on daycare when their father is not working and should be taking care of them? Honestly, someone says she doesn't trust him alone with the kids because he would probably be sleeping all day instead of parenting. That's true. That's sad, but true. Oh, someone else said make sure to go out and get a P.O. box first. You don't want any important paperwork going to that address. I mean, that's a good idea too. I was trying to find the most cost-effective options because she's already cash-strapped, but a P.O. box actually isn't as expensive as someone might think. So that would be a great place to get mail sent to. And where do you go to get a Social Security? Is it the USP? No, that's for passports. Yeah, where would you even go to get? Either way, yeah, that's a good idea. Someone said, I'm pretty sure it's illegal for him to have your Social Security cards without you having access to them. I think this falls under the trafficking laws. Someone said, you are correct. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, call the police. Shoot. Someone said, not the a-hole. Get out now before you waste 10 more years hoping he will change. Right now you have 3 kids and he will never grow up. Someone responded, I wanted to say he was depressed at the start, but then I kept reading and now he seems like a major A. Get out. You can get a new Social Security card without too much trouble. Well, child, like I said, she just posted that 6 hours ago. I hope she is able to get out of that. Because that, like she said, it would be much better just to actually be a single mom than to be married and also still be a single mom and have to take care of a whole ass grown man. You gotta be kidding me. So for the palate cleanser today, we have this video that I saw on YouTube. Let me play it. It's like a joke video. For anyone not watching, it's someone pulling up to a fast food place and about to order some food. So it just shows like the screen. It doesn't show the actual person. They're just filming the speaker where the person comes out or where the person speaks whenever you order food.
All right, when you're ready.
Hey, I just want to let you guys know, you guys have a lady back here. She got no teeth, asking for a Big Mac with no onions and a small milkshake in exchange for...
Stop it. I'll let my manager know. Can I take your order?
Let me get a Big Mac with no onions and a small milkshake.
You are nasty.
That's funny. Anyways, so that'll do it for today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.